The ASUS V16, there's a lot of options in the gaming laptop space, and most of them aren't worth your money, so I want to be upfront about what this one actually is. I've researched it thoroughly, and I'm going to give you my honest review, without any sponsorship from the brand. If you're interested in buying it, I do have an affiliate link in the description, but don't worry, that doesn't cost you anything extra. So, what is the ASUS V16? It's a gaming laptop, designed for people who want a balance between performance and portability. It's typically priced around the higher mid-range to lower high-end tier, which puts it in competition with some other strong contenders. If you're someone who's looking for a laptop that can handle demanding games and content creation, but still wants something that's relatively easy to carry around, the ASUS V16 might be worth considering. If you're a gamer who wants a laptop that can handle 144Hz refresh rates and high-quality graphics, this one's got an RTX 5070, which is a pretty powerful GPU. It's also got a 16-inch WUXGA display, which is a great size for gaming and productivity. The Intel Core 7 240H processor is fast, and the 16GB of DDR5 RAM is plenty for most users. So, if you're someone who wants a laptop that can handle gaming, video editing, and other demanding tasks, the ASUS V16 is definitely a solid option. Now, let's talk about the build and box contents. The ASUS V16 is made of a mix of materials, including aluminum and plastic, which gives it a premium feel without being too heavy. It's typically around 4 to 5 pounds, which is pretty standard for a gaming laptop. The finish is matte black, which looks great and doesn't show fingerprints too much. In the box, you usually get the laptop itself, a power adapter, and some documentation. One thing to note is that some users have reported issues with the laptop's cooling system, so that's something to keep an eye on. Now, let's get into some real-world use scenarios. I've researched how the ASUS V16 performs in different situations, and I've got some specific examples to share. First, let's talk about gaming. If you're playing games like Fortnite or League of Legends, the ASUS V16 handles them with ease. The 144Hz refresh rate makes a big difference, and the RTX 5070 GPU can handle high graphics settings. However, if you're playing more demanding games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Assassin's Creed, you might need to turn down the graphics settings a bit to get smooth performance. That's not a surprise, given the laptop specs, but it's something to keep in mind. Another scenario is video editing. If you're working with 4K footage, the ASUS V16 can handle it, but you might notice some slowdown when rendering or exporting. That's because the laptop CPU and GPU are powerful, but they're not quite at the level of a dedicated workstation. However, if you're working with 1080p or 2K footage, the ASUS V16 is more than capable of handling it. I've seen some tests where it can render and export videos in a fraction of the time it takes on lower-end laptops. Now, let's talk about a scenario where the ASUS V16 might not be the best choice. If you're someone who needs a laptop for very basic tasks like browsing the web, checking email, and streaming Netflix, the ASUS V16 is probably overkill. It's a powerful laptop, and it's priced accordingly, so if you don't need all that power, you might be better off with something cheaper. On the other hand, if you're someone who wants a laptop that can handle demanding tasks, but also wants something that's relatively portable, the ASUS V16 is a great option. Another scenario is battery life. If you're using the ASUS V16 for light tasks like browsing the web or working on documents, you can get around 6 to 8 hours of battery life, which is pretty good for a gaming laptop. However, if you're gaming or doing other demanding tasks, the battery life is more like 2 to 3 hours, which is to be expected. That's not a surprise, given the laptop specs, but it's something to keep in mind if you're planning to use it on the go. Now, let's talk about some weaknesses of the ASUS V16. One of the biggest weaknesses is the price. It's typically around $1,500 to $2,000, which is a lot of money for a laptop. That being said, you're getting a lot of power and features for that price, so it's not entirely unreasonable. Another weakness is the cooling system, which some users have reported issues with. That's something to keep an eye on, especially if you're planning to use the laptop for demanding tasks. Finally, the ASUS V16 doesn't have a lot of ports, which might be a problem for some users. It's got a few USB-A ports, a USB-C port, and an HDMI port, but that's about it. If you need a lot of ports, you might need to look into a docking station or a hub. In terms of value, the ASUS V16 is a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, you're getting a lot of power and features for the price. On the other hand, there are some other laptops on the market that offer similar specs and features for a lower price. That being said, the ASUS V16 has a few unique features, like its 144Hz display and its RTX 5070 GPU, that make it stand out from the competition. If you're looking for a laptop that can handle demanding games and content creation, and you're willing to pay a premium for it, the ASUS V16 is definitely worth considering. So, who is the ASUS V16 suited for? I'd say it's a great option for two types of buyers. First, it's perfect for gamers who want a laptop that can handle demanding games and high-quality graphics. Second, it's great for content creators who need a laptop that can handle video editing, 3D modeling, and other demanding tasks. On the other hand, if you're someone who just needs a laptop for basic tasks, or if you're on a very tight budget, you might want to look elsewhere. In conclusion, the ASUS V16